Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks. This is episode 112 of the Interplanetary Voyage of Exploration, Season 1. Now, as we announced, we will be starting Season 2 soon, and despite the fact that we have recently announced 1.2 is coming out, it will take some considerable time until we get the mods ready to the state to be played with 1.2. So I will rather start the series 1.1.3 and then I'll hopefully somewhere along the way upgrade to 1.2, or that's the plan anyway. Now, with that being said, we have some more things to wrap up in terms of Series 1, and that is obviously the building and the launching of the Karbonite lander, Joolian Karbonite lander, also who netted us some decent amount of science, and I'm just looking for the right Kerbal to actually do it. Now, HMB... no. I am thinking I would probably want to put Henzon Kerman. Yes, let's put Henzon Kerman to fly this bad boy. Great. 3, 2, 1, go, and we have successful liftoff, and we will be taking it to the orbit. Just to make sure that everything is working correctly, the angles look correct, and starting our gravity turn slowly. Everything looks fine. Henzon is a little bit concerned, but then again, everything looks okay. Anyway, guys, I wanted to ask you a little bit for advice. As you know, recently I have been starting to playing No Man's Sky. And I mean, it's a decent game and it's an exploration game, but yeah, as all things happen, gets a little bit repetitive. I played it a little bit. I'm still enjoying it in bits and bobs, so I will probably record a few more episodes, but I wanted to ask you for your opinion, and I'm gonna be using the new cards for YouTube to do it, so please do vote on this. What would you like to see more? Would you like to see more No Man's Sky? Or would you like me to start once again the XCOM 2 playthrough new series? Now, I don't have in mind any third game just yet. I might in the future, but so far I'm thinking I'm still running with Naval Action and Kerbal Space Program. But I was thinking to either have a No Man's Sky or an XCOM 2, which we all know I failed miserably in the last playthrough. So I plan to start from scratch with all of the with mods installed and also with all the DLCs included. So please let me know what you think, and I really appreciate your feedback as always. Okay, that being said, we are just wrapping up some small orbital adjustments for Henzon. As you can see, his lander is big, and that is because I want to use the transfer stage to actually get the Joolian system, and then we will be using lander for orbital hopping and hopefully to refuel and return him safely back to Kerbin. So that's the plan anyway. Now, with that being said, let us go and plan for the circularization burn, just to keep orbit nice and around 100 by 100 meter range, because our transfer burn is based on that. Alrighty, 40 meters per second to burn. Not a whole lot, and we have 4 nukes, so yeah, I think it'll be fine. Okay, great. And now let's go back to the Space Center. So, I just want the time a little bit to pass by until we get to the Kerbin to Jool transfer window, which is right about now. So, with that being said, let us go back to the Joolian Carbonite lander and let us plan the ejection burn followed, and then have Henzon leave Kerman for some years to come. Okay, and my plan will be probably to get him and the Sarnes Nuke probe, do their exploration, and to safely return Rem back to Kerman and transfer the Carbonite miner. So I don't know, I mean, Urlum probes feel a little bit too far out. I mean, 8 years out until I actually can do Series 2, so I'll probably abort, and I will do Urlum in Series 2. So that's just FYI. Okay, planning the Jool ejection burn using some of the parameters that I've gotten from the transfer window planner. I really love that mod. I will definitely be using it in Series 2. The only mod that I have so far excluded from the Series 2 is Dang It, I believe, simply because, I mean, I like the ideas of random failures, but for most cases they just get annoying. So yeah, until I find something better, I'll just stick with stock and assume that everything works great. Okay, 2091 meters per second burn, estimated time of 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and so we are roughly waiting for 2 minutes and 40 seconds roughly, or around somewhere around that, 2 minutes 50 seconds roughly. Getting ready for the burn and kicking the gas. Beautiful sight, and we have some time to burn, and I'll let you enjoy the view of Henzon burning and leaving, well, not leaving Kerman behind, but burning to leave Kerman behind us. Also, while we're doing so, I'd like to talk a little bit about Series 2. As you know, it will be a sandbox save, but I still plan to take it as I did with the science one. So, and that is why I'm trying to retrieve as much science as possible, hopefully from the Rem Joolian lander and from the Sarnes Nuke probe. Those two should hopefully provide plenty of science to unlock, hopefully, the rest of the tech tree. And yeah, I just realized I do say hopefully a little bit too much for my taste. But yeah, what can you do? Beautiful burn. Henzon is definitely now ejecting out of the Kerman's sphere of influence and trying to secure an encounter with Jool, and 350 meters per second to burn. Hopefully that will secure us a good encounter. We'll see. Oh, reaction wheel failure. Well, we will fix that once we actually are done with burning. And we have an encounter. Well, let's see if we can fill a little bit more to get a tighter encounter, but so far I'm pretty happy with what it looks like. So let's go and fix the reaction wheels. Nice start, Henzon. Well, at least you'll brush up on your engineering skills. Let's take some spares and repair the insulation, and let's get back into the ship. So nothing really major, but still, yeah. Okay, let us a little bit now appreciate the beauty of the view, where we have Henzon leaving a Kerman's sphere of influence. I think I'll definitely take it as one of the screenshots for the episode. If nothing else interesting comes along, I mean, that is. Beautiful ship, and well, Henzon, say goodbye to Kerman. It will be a long while until you get back. Okay, and I'm hoping that I can kick a little bit more of time acceleration and... Okay, doing the save, and I really like the alignment between the craft, the Kerbin and the moon, or Mun. And here we see the Minmus also in the distance as we are passing along, and we will be exiting the Kerbin's sphere of influence in roughly 15 minutes, so let us go focus on that transition because we do want it as smooth as possible. Okay, it should happen any moment now. Let's just zoom out and confirm that we see when it happens, setting Jool as target. And I really don't know why this... and here we have a Jool encounter. Beautiful. Okay, and that pretty much means that we want it to continue run its course. Now, let's take a look at the Karbonite miner, because that is the next thing to happen, and I really want to get that one into the stable orbit. We won't be getting it to the surface of Duna just yet. Because that will be probably doing in Series 2. And by the way, Series 2 I also play with remote tech, despite the fact that 1.2 will have its stock system. I'd really like to play with the stock system. I actually got the chance to run it during the experiment, and so far I like how it's designed. It feels kind of like remote tech light, and probably by the time you're watching this I'm hoping to be able to post out a video showing the differences between the two. So yeah, I'll put probably the link to the video in the description of this one, so if you want to compare how does remote tech compare to the new stock ComNet, I will be definitely happy to provide you with that information. Okay, executing the planned maneuver just to make sure that we come closer. Beautiful. And then at periapsis we want to kick our orbital insertion burn. So let's just a little bit time accelerate until we get closer to Duna. We do expect to be changing the sphere of influence in 15 minutes roughly. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit time accelerating a lot of things, but I really do want to wrap up this series so we can continue with the series 2. Okay, and let us do the orbital insertion burn. Put it at periapsis, and let's see how much delta V it would take. I don't plan to aerobrake because I think that this craft is not really meant for aerobraking. It is meant for landing, but slowly but surely, rather, I'd say. So yeah, 2320. It's not a big deal. We have 3,347, of which we can all use just for landing, because we don't need to care about the rest. So yes, that's definitely something worth considering. Making sure that we execute the planned maneuver. And now let's enjoy the view as we approach Duna. Kicking the time acceleration, and whoa, Duna coming ever so closer. Just popping at us from the dark, and Ike also. Hi Ike. Okay, this time we are definitely not gonna aerobrake, but we'll just execute the burn, and since we're using nukes, it does take a significant amount of time to burn with the nukes, so yeah, it's definitely gonna take some burning until we actually get anywhere near orbit. And 2300 delta V to burn with 4 nukes, yeah, it can get a little bit tedious. No matter. We are committed to get this guy on the surface of Duna. Okay. Time warping. Well, time warp times 1, I mean. Not really time warping. Probably the next time you will be seeing Duna, it will look a little bit different, because rather than my visual enhancements mod that I've been using here, which was Astronomer's visual pack, I think beta, I am using stock visual enhancement and scatter and all that jazz, so Duna should be looking slightly different. Okay, continuing with our orbital insertion burn. Just making sure that we do get captured in the orbit around Duna. And this camera shift does tell me that that could have happened, although that's not always 100%, because sometimes the camera shifts when you're flying lower at around certain planets, so man, this is one long burn. I mean, you are seeing this, guys, in 3 times acceleration, and I was looking at it real time at roughly 4-5 frames per second, so yeah, I just went to make myself some coffee while I'm waiting for this burn to execute, and I was having the actual, flight computer executing the burn, so fortunately I don't need to care about it. I really like that the remote tech has a flight computer, especially if you're planning to use long burns, it's a godsend. Okay. Burning ever so slowly, ever so carefully, and we are still, we're still not in the orbit around, we're still on an escape trajectory. Judging by the negative apoapsis height, but it is now significantly decreasing, so I hope, and here we go, beautiful. Now we are captured in the orbit around Duna, and we are now lowering the apoapsis to a more manageable approach, and we have roughly a few seconds to burn, and perfect. Finally, if I may add so myself. Great. Alright. I guess that's it for the Karbonite miner. We'll save it and we will be revisiting it in the series too. Now, back to Rem. I have noticed one specific potential problem, and that is it will take us 204 days until we reach Kerbin and 194 days until our food, oxygen and water run out. Meaning, by the time we get at Kerbin, Rem would be like 10 days without food, water or oxygen, and that's really not acceptable from my end, so I'm trying to see if I can use my remaining delta V, which is 241 meters per second, which is abysmally low, to actually secure us a better encounter with Kerbin and quicker, if we can speed up the travel by 10 days. Otherwise, I don't think that poor old Rem... Oh, and crap, we have a tank leaking. Repair the insulation. Beautiful. I mean, as if I didn't have enough problems. 194 days, and let's see if we can get... By the way, guys, I'm just showing you some of the machinations that I've been doing, but I'm afraid I will have to prepare you for potentially bad news. And that is, no matter how much I tried, I couldn't get Rem T Kerman to Kerman quicker for 214 delta V. So Rem, he wasn't obviously happy when we told him from the mission control, but he decided to do the ultimate sacrifice, and that is, he made sure that his periapsis will be so low that he gets aero captured, and he has armed all of the chutes to make sure that although he might be incapacitated, or more likely dead, that he will be, at least his legacy and the science that he has collected will live on in the terms of the science being retrieved. So he has primed all of the parachutes that they do open once we encounter Kerman. Food remaining 10 days, and I'm sorry to say, water depleted, food depleted, and we have only 2 hours of oxygen remaining. Sorry, Rem buddy, I really wish there was something that I could have done. I just wanted to put a maneuver note to know how far we are out, and I have decided just to put craft on maneuver prograde, which is basically orbit retrograde, and hopefully it will be kept there by SAS. So Rem T, even in his final moments, is making sure that he gets properly captured, and I mean, he is perfectly aware that he is giving away his life. However, he is at least hoping that the science that he captured will be used. And sad news, ladies and gentlemen, Rem T has passed away due to the oxygen deprivation. Well, assuming that we manage to capture his craft, he will be remembered and he will be buried with highest honors possible. So, time to see now the moment of truth. Will we get the science from Rem back at Kerman? Will he be aero captured? It's really intense, and periapsis height 23 meters per second, which I believe should be enough. Note that we cannot no longer control the craft in any way. The parachutes are armed, so hopefully everything gets correct, but also we cannot close the solar panels, we cannot do anything. This ship is now on its ballistic trajectory, more or less. Coming closer to Kerman, and people from the mission control are eagerly awaiting to see if and how will the craft survive reentry, and if they will be able to get incredible amount of science data that Rem has collected. Time to hold a breath, hitting the atmosphere, and we are starting to aero brake. Temperature heating up. And I believe the drag or the drogue chutes deployed. Well, this is something I definitely won't be able to do in 1.1.3. However, the drogue chutes managed to slow us down enough so that the heating has stopped, and so I guess we will be captured in the orbit, or not in the orbit, we'll get aero captured, and we are slowly progressing to landing the craft on on the surface of Kerman. I don't know if we will be hitting water or we'll be hitting something else, but then again, there's absolutely nothing that we can do at this moment. And it seems like we are going on the land, grasslands it seems, which is only fitting to have it as a final resting place for our buddy Rem T. Kerman. And the main chute's deployed, slowly and gracefully coming down. A truly magnificent yet very sad sight. Knowing that Rem T won't be able to witness the success, however, his sacrifice will be remembered, and hopefully his contribution to science will be able to take Kerbals on to the next era of space travel. Okay, let's recover the vessel. Wow, a total of 5,154. And first and foremost, let us decorate Rem T. Kerman with the highest, with an award. He has collected many ribbons. Among others, we will award him the Intersidera, Among the Stars, a commemorative ribbon for fallen Karbonauts. Thank you for your sacrifice, Rem T. You shall be remembered. Okay. Now, on a more happier note, let us go and see what we can actually do with that science. So, I definitely want to explore the secrets of carborundum, which is definitely something that then the storage of carborundum, and then go into carborundum rocketry, because while at the orbit of Jool, Rem T has observed some indications that there would be another element, carborundum, which could be in theory synthesized in the lab, just in the smaller amounts, but it can be mined around Eeloo and a little bit around Jool. So he has helped scientists understand what is carborundum and how it can be used to create torch drive and all that jazz. So we have another 2,262 science, which I'm thinking I will use for the torch drive, and then we have advanced torch drive, which is even bigger one, which we don't have enough science for. Okay, however, the pure advance in the science, now we can use carborundum drives and also carborundum as a medium for the propulsion. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode, guys. If you like the episode, hit subscribe for more KSC content, including the Series 2, which will be coming soon. And until the next episode, thank you very much for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing off.